What's going on, you guys? It's Randy with Full Throttle Obsessions. Today we're going to be upgrading my Traxxas Maxx Slash into a Monster Maxx Slash. We did something very similar with my Traxxas Slash. We ended up going a little bit taller suspension with a bigger tire, and of course we had to trim the body for the size tires we did run on the Slash. We're going to do things a little bit different on the Maxx Slash. We're going to try to keep it as low as possible, so we're not going to do any raising on the suspension part of things. The only lift it will get is for the extra height of the bigger tires. And the reason behind that is because we're trying to keep it as low as possible to give it that low center of gravity. That way we can still take those turns nice and fast and tight and hopefully still slide around fairly well without the risk of making it a little too high where it's a little more top heavy and wants to flop over all the time. We still could get that because we're going to be running a really aggressive tire. But we'll kind of test it out and prove it as we go. How we're going to get the extra clearance, since we're not going to raise the suspension, we're just going to do a little body trimming. For this size tire, I believe the body trimming is going to be very minimal. And I tell you, it's a lot easier to trim the body up when the body's already got some damage. We got some damage that first run we had. And the reason why we're going to go with taller tires, number one, to get the power put down a little better, getting the power to the ground. Because on 6S, this thing's just spinning like crazy. Number two, to get it to handle a little better. With the smaller tire and the excessive wheel spin that we get, it's kind of hard to line it up to those jumps just because you're spinning so excessively. As well as it's harder to correct the truck and maneuver it when it's in the air. So if the back end of the truck gets kicked kind of high, it's kind of hard to throttle out and level it out. And vice versa, if the front of the truck comes too high and you got to try to brake it to level it out. It's really too minimal with the size tires that it has on the truck. And it does help quite excessively when you get bigger tires on it. When I did this conversion to my Slash 4x4, it was a night and day difference on how it handled on the track. We'll go ahead and give you guys a shot of them side by side. We got my Monster Slash 4x4 to the right, and then the Monster Maxx to the left. Luckily, the way the Traxxas Maxx Slash is set up, there's not going to be too many upgrades that we have to do to get it to this point. The tires and wheels that we will be using are Traxxas part number 8672, and they're actually the same tires that we put on the Traxxas Maxx. They actually come off the Traxxas eRevo 2.0. So it's a fairly tall tire as well as wide. It's really wide. I really can't wait to see how this thing looks once we get them on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and do it. Alright, we'll go ahead and get these tires and wheels off. This truck, though, I tell you, on 6S, it was a monster. Jumping and sliding around real well. Go ahead and just make sure that, whoops. Oh, now just like on the Traxxas Maxx, it's got these little inserts on the wheels that sink in right here. So I do believe they sunk back in on the Maxx. We'll have to go ahead and find that out. We'll go ahead and get these tires and wheels opened up. We'll go ahead and see there. Oh, perfect. So the adapter fits perfectly in the hole in the eRevo 2.0 tires. And that's to adapt it down because they use a different style setup for the Maxx Slash. As well as the Maxx, the original Maxx I should say. I think the Maxx, the newer Traxxas Maxx uses that other style that will accommodate for this size hole for the axle. So that fits in there quite nicely. We'll go and kind of compare them. Wow, you can see side by side how much of a massive difference that tire is from the stock ones. It's not only taller, but it is almost twice the width, or just about twice the width of the stock tires of the Maxx Slash. So let's go ahead. I got the wrong side here. We'll go ahead and get the right side. Make sure it's fully seated on the hex there. Wow. Just with that first tire, you could tell that thing looks like a monster, man, like a little beast. Just by the first one. Get that tightened up there. Make sure we're gonna not have any clearance issues. Wow, it looks like that's going to fit just perfectly. Well, of course, we're going to have to trim off the body. We'll get that all trimmed out. That way it don't hit on the, because that's the only really clearance issue that we have. So I think I'll kind of go this route and just trim little by little so I don't take too much out of it. We'll go ahead and do the second tire here. A little difficult there. I'm trying not to block the camera's view. So I'm going to do that. Get this one out. Oh, that one was stubborn. Got it out. Go ahead and get this side on here. Of course, we're making sure it's all the way down on the hex so we don't strip that out. Well, I definitely like that stance. And we only got the first two on. And tighten that down there. Wow, already that's a huge difference. We'll go ahead and get them on the rear, and then we'll check this thing out. Alright, you guys, I cheated a little bit. We went ahead and put the rear tires and wheels on off camera. Just so I didn't bore you guys, it was the exact same process from the front. So I didn't want to bore you guys with that too much, but I have to say, this thing looks like a beast. We'll go ahead and do a little turn. Of course, we're still going to trim the body. I'm going to trim it and run it, and of course, we're going to trim as less as possible to get these to fit. But you can see it's still going to have a really low center of gravity, but it's going to have a ton more traction. Those tires are wide. It just looks like a beast. Definitely liking that. And for those that are going to think that it's going to be way heavier, I don't have a scale on hand, but I put two of the factory tires and just kind of felt the weight compared to two of those, and there's really not much of a difference. And I know these ones are belted, and I don't believe those ones are, so I think that's where a lot of the weight's coming from, which means we will get a little more ballooning on those, so we'll have to take that in consideration when we trim the body. But there is not much of a weight difference at all. Very minimal. So I don't think we're going to have any issues there. We just got to take that in consideration of the ballooning that we're going to have. The ballooning can be a positive and also a negative. On the positive side of things, when you're trying to control it in the air, the ballooning actually tends to help with that. Now, of course, with the ballooning, you're going to rub the body a little easier and as well blow out the tire. So those kind of things you do got to take into consideration. I don't think we're going to have an issue here just because they are ran on the eRevo 2.0. But that's what we have testing and tuning for. We're going to get this out and actually see how everything reacts. See if we're going to have to gear it lower or if we're going to run the same gearing. We'll go ahead and give you guys a shot of it with the body off. Wow, you can just tell those tires make this thing look really beefy. Go ahead and show you the steering. Now it is off its weight, but you could kind of go ahead and see in there. We're not going to have any rubbing issues. It's kind of shaded in there, but on the steering itself, I did notice where we might have a little bit of issue is when it's fully depressed here, possibly slightly rubbing on the actual body mounts, which I don't think it's going to cause us an issue. But if it does, we can always trim a little of that out to try to keep it from rubbing as much as we can. But I'm pressing down on it, so it's rubbing ever so slightly. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. If it is, we'll go ahead and get that handled. Oh man, that thing looks awesome. I'm really excited to get this thing out and test it. Man, look at that stance. I can't wait to get this thing out and test it. Of course, we're going to trim the body up first to make sure we're not going to have any rubbing issues. I think I will get a stiffer spring for it, just because when we took it out for the first run, I had the shocks all the way tightened up to kind of soak up those big jumps a little better. And they're just really soft. So I think we're going to increase the strength of the spring, as well as maybe putting a little thicker shock wheel in there. But we'll go with the stiffer springs at first, and then if it needs it, we'll go a little thicker shock oil, just so it's better prepared for the bigger jumps. Well, but one more time, we'll kind of put this tire next to it. Wow, that's actually a quite considerable difference in tire size there. I don't know how well it comes on camera, but it's actually quite a big difference. Give you guys one more side-by-side lineup. I have to say the Traxxas Maxx Slash is looking right at home next to the Monster Slash and Monster Maxx. I do believe we're going to be able to put the power down quite well on the Maxx Slash due to it being quite a bit longer than the Maxx. So I think we can lay that a lot more power down without throwing the wheels up almost uncontrollably. So that definitely is a good sign. But anyways, I hope you guys liked the video, and as always, please like, share, and subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you guys are notified every time we drop a new video. But until next time, thank you.